Hey everyone, what's up? I was watching some reviews tonight and over the past few days, courtesy of Blimp.tv and of course the Blimp.tv app through Kindle. And I got to thinking, I've been thinking about this for some time, kind of naming off some of I guess you could say, doing a bit of a recommendation of some of the top internet reviewers you should check out here on YouTube, Blimp.tv, Dailymotion, and wherever else you can find them. Now, some of them you may have heard of, and some of them you may not have heard of. I'll give you an example. Some of them are not always found at Channel Awesome. No, they do reference Channel Awesome, but that's about it. But there are some out there that are still good reviewers. Some of them basically independently on their own. And that's about it. Some of them are independently on their own, and they're still good. They still have people that follow and watch them. Some of these reviewers also have their own channels on both YouTube, Blimp, and on Dailymotion. And a majority of them nowadays also have accounts of Patreon. Now, who are some of the reviewers I'm talking about? Well, like I said, they're almost on the level, if not close to the level of someone like, say, the Nostalgia Critic. They're very close to that. They're also close to the level of an AVGN and Lucara and Angry Joe. They all have their own abilities. They all have their own reasonings. Excuse me for 1 second. But like I was saying, I had to let the cat back in the garage there. But like I was saying, they all have their own reason for doing their own thing. As a matter of fact, like me in some ways, they do reviews of not just movies and television shows, but they also do comic book reviews. And sometimes they also do top 10, top 25, or top 15 countdowns. Or, like Nostalgia Critic, when it comes to the Christmas season, top 12. So who are they? Well, like I said, you may or may not know some of them. The first one I want to recommend is Bobsheaux, or Bobsheaux. Now, Bobsheaux, you can find here on YouTube. I think you all know who I'm talking about. It's Bobsheaux. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is a guy that I recently discovered, I think about a year or two ago. And I think this is his third year in existence with this show. And like anybody, he has his own style. And like I mentioned before mentioning him as the first one I recommend, he also reviews both movies, television shows, and comic books. Now, one thing about Bob, of course, I think anybody might notice, is he is a furry. Well, in the sense that he's a supporter of the furry fandom. He's a big supporter of that, obviously. And why is that? Well, let's put it this way. He's a fan of the Sabrina online comic. One of his first videos he did was basically on the possibility that the creator of the Sabrina online comic was teasing killing off the Sabrina character, which did not happen. Then, he's also shown his favoritism towards support of the furry fandom by talking about all these other online comics and characters that you can find at places like DeviantArt and YouTube. I mean, heck, he's even used the ending to a Sabrina short for his video on Sabrina. So he's a fan of the furry community, and especially of original artwork. As a matter of fact, when he did his review of Noah's Ark, aka El Arque, he kind of basically stood in attention when the female antagonist, or tweentagonist, if you will, Panthera, whatever her name is, showed up. So yeah, you can kind of see what I'm saying there. He's even a supporter of a character like Lily from Alpha and Omega. That's right. I can pull it out here. This Alpha and Omega and that character. He's a fan and supporter of. Now he's not too much of a fan. Now he's not much of a fan of the way she's treated in some of the sequels, or portrayed in some of the sequels. But you can't blame him. But still, he is a supporter of that. And like other reviewers that obviously have inspired him, he dedicates sometimes months to reviewing certain subjects. Like this month, he's doing Star Wars. In previous months, like last year, he did Transformers. And anything Transformers related, or could be a cheap knockoff of Transformers. And then, very recently, he did probably what is considered his longest review ever, when he reviewed Transformers, the very first live-action film. And he did that as an anniversary, well, not anniversary, but a subscriber kind of anniversary, like, episode, to celebrate getting all the subscribers, and I guess his anniversary, or something like that. So that's what Bob did. And Bob has filmed in various locations, mostly at his house. Sometimes he'll sit at his desk like this, with his camera looking at him, and that's how he'll do his review. Sometimes he'll sit on a couch. Or as he's been doing lately, he'll sit right in front of a wall where he has a bunch of his comic stuff. Like behind me, I have a lot of stuff. Imagine this whole wall being covered up in comic book covers. That's exactly what Bob's is. And I will say this, Bob is a great reviewer, and potentially will go on to be one of the best reviewers on the internet in recent memory. I mean, I'll say this, when Doug Walker decides the time has come for him to hang up the Nostalgia Critic boots and the Nostalgia Critic cap and coat once and for all and move on to other things, there's going to be a Bobsheaux. Bob Thomas is his real name, but Bobsheaux is going to be there. He's going to be there to pick up the slack for those kind of reviews. When Louis Lumberg, decides, okay, I'm done, he's going to hang up the Linkara coat and hat. Bobsheaux is going to be there. Guys, whenever one goes, someone like Bob will take up that mantle, and that's what he's going to do. Will he do it for as long as Doug and Louis have done theirs? Probably not. But that doesn't mean he won't be around for a long time. But I do say, if you've not seen Bobsheaux, I highly recommend checking him out, checking his channel out. Go to blimp.tv, type in, Google Bobsheaux, Bobsheaux, and you will find him. Check him out. Here on YouTube, check him out at Blimp. You will not regret it. He's a great reviewer, probably one of the best. One of the best up and coming, that is. Now, on to another person I highly recommend, Animat. Now, I know some of you will say, well, Brian, you don't really have to talk about Animat. Everybody knows who he is. That is true, but not really. You see, Animat, even though you could probably find out about him through Channel Awesome, and mostly through the message boards, Animat is mostly associated with thefellowinthecoat.com, as well as the next few I'll talk about. But Animat is one of those kind of people that actually does maybe about 1 or 2 reviews a month. Sometimes his main reviews will be about movies that have just come out in the theaters, or have come out to DVD or Blu-ray. Excuse me. His other ones, of course, will be classic reviews. And his classic reviews are usually done by randomly drawing out a movie that a fan has suggested to him through his email, and that he will actually take time and watch and do a review on afterwards. However, lately, one of the things that have bugged fans about Animat is the fact that he hasn't really been going to the Animation Hat that much anymore since he set up his Patreon account. Now, I talked about Patreon in my video of what is Patreon. And basically, Animat is depending more on Patreon at times to really help him out financially. Because like anybody, this is probably his only living. This is probably the only job he really has, the only real way he knows how to make his income. Now, with that said, Animat does do some decent reviews, there's no doubt about it. He even puts a lot of collaboration into some of his reviews as well. I'll give you an example. One review he did, I think, was on the Bratz live-action movie. That's right. He reviewed Bratz, the live-action movie. And he did such a huge deal with this. To me, the production for this was pretty good on his part. And he got a lot of his co-reviewers at thefellowinthecoat.com involved. So I liked it. I really did. So I would recommend watching Animat because he doesn't just give you something like a classic review of an animated movie of the past or of recent years, but he also gives you a review of a movie that's come to theaters. Like, there's no doubt this upcoming year you're going to have him doing a review of Inside Out when it hits theaters. We all know that's coming. He's already done a review on Strange Magic, which he pretty much pwned and did not like. But Inside Out might be a different story. He's definitely going to be doing one on Home when it hits theaters real soon. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, with that said, he also does a series of videos as well called Animation Look Back. He's done animation look backs on Disney, Pixar, Hanna-Barbera, Don Bluth, and just recently he's done stop motion. Now the only question is, what is next on his table? I believe what's next on his table could be DreamWorks. We'll have to wait and see. But these series of videos are very informational because they kind of give you behind-the-scenes tidbits that you probably didn't know of. And maybe even Animat didn't even know of when he first reviewed it. Or first read up on it. So I'd highly recommend checking out Animat if you've not heard of him yet. Because this is somebody that definitely, does his homework and definitely lives by his name, being an Animat, being an animation expert, or at least somewhat of a knowledgeable person on animation and its history. Someone that does the research, that is. All right, the next one I want to talk about. These are two I want to talk about very briefly because I've been involved with these two I've been involved with one. I've actually associated with one a lot more than I have the other. But this one has actually did a review for me, did a request for me, and I appreciate that on her part. The other not only has befriended me through YouTube and Facebook and all that, but has actually contributed to one of my series that I did. You see, a couple years ago, I did the Sonic SatAM Retrospect series. And this person contributed their own video. Someone that works with people like like Animat, which is kind of amazing. Now, the two I'm talking about, of course, is Hewy and Rashitsu, aka Dani. Hewy is known as sort of a DJ musician kind of reviewer. He reviews movies, does a top 10, but he also is a fan of everything else. He's also a fan of animation and live action movies. In fact, he's done co-reviews with Rashitsu, and he's done co-reviews with the other person I'll be talking about in a little bit as well, and I think you know who I'm going to get to. But he's worked with everybody at thatfellow.com, almost. Almost has worked with everybody there. So I was kind of surprised in everything. Now, I don't know if I asked maybe for someone to put in their input or something like that. If I asked him, I may have. I don't really know. But I was surprised that he contributed that part, and I appreciate it. So, Hewy is someone you definitely want to check out. He's one person that, if given the time, will give you his time if he feels what you're doing intrigues him. And he is a fan. If you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, and of course a fan of Sonic SatAM, he is someone that will actually hear you out. Will take the time if he can find the time, he'll take that time and hear you out and give you maybe his rebuttal, his reply, his contribution to what you want to talk about. Now, Rashitsu, on the other hand, she is just like any other reviewer. Well, not like any other reviewer, but she is a reviewer, but she goes by doing something that, well, somebody else I'll mention in just a bit too has been doing for a few years. Rashitsu, aka Dani, that's D-A-N-I, does a lot of reviews, does top 10 countdowns, and she does it by using the audio through her version, if you will, her version. Now, what a version is basically an anamorphic representation of you in furry form. That's right, a lot of people do that. It's just basically a representation of you in furry form, or, as I like to call it this time, a sonic version. In other words, you represented in a Sonic-like style, with a Sonic character style. And that's what Dani's is, or Rashitsu's is. She represents herself with a cat character, as far as I know last time, and that's how she does a lot of her videos. She's done collaborations with a lot of people, like I said, mainly at thefellownthecode.com. She's also done top 10 or top 12 countdowns. So one time, I went to her and I asked her, I think I may have done this once or twice, I asked her to do a top 10 Sonic Girls countdown. And I'm not talking, Sega or anything like this. I'm talking the overall Sonic Girl fandom, Sonic Girls characters. And I was surprised at how well, I was surprised that not only did she accept my request, but she did it. And she did a tremendous job at it. I mean, she gave a lot of detail on who the characters were, why she liked them, why she didn't like them. So Rashitsu was really somebody I really got liking, and I got liking her because I watched some of her videos, some of her top 10 videos and reviews. So I do recommend her and Hewy as two people you want to check out in the future. Excuse me. Another one I want to tell you about, and I'm just going to briefly talk about this one, is Super Princess Daisy here on YouTube. She's obviously from England, and Super Princess Daisy is, she's not just a reviewer, but she's someone that gives her own point of view, and like Rashitsu, most of the time uses her Sonic version of herself, her Sonic character's version of herself, which is a purple cat, to do reviews, to do rant videos, to do informational videos, announcements, stuff like that. She uses that character design, that Sonic character design that represents her version to do these videos. Now, sometimes she will appear in person on camera and do some announcements and talk and stuff, but most of the time it's through her version. And she does some great things here. She really does. I mean, recently, I don't know if she's still doing it. She's been doing reviews on Sonic Boom, so you can check those out. These are really good. She's done, like I said, her reasonings for certain things on, she's given her own opinions on why people are hating on Sally and why they shouldn't, why she likes Sonic and Sally as a couple. She did like a top 5 or top 10 couples list of her favorite Sonic couples list, basically. So she's done a lot of this and a lot more. So I would definitely check out Princess Daisy here on YouTube, as well as check this guy out. I know I'm doing a lot, but check this guy out as well. Mega Beat Man. Mega Beat Man. He's got a few channels. One is for his comic reviews. Another is for his other things that he does. But one is his True Blue Reviews. I think it's Mega Beat Man's True Blue Reviews channel or something like that. And he does a lot of reviews on Sonic and Mega Man. He does retro reviews as well. He's been doing those now recently. And he gives his own thoughts and opinions on how he feels the issue was, how the story was. He gives an overall score at times. So I would definitely check out Mega Beat Man as well, mostly his True Blue Reviews channel. Mega Beat Man's True Blue Reviews channel. Now to finish this off, and if this goes into 2 parts, I do apologize, but to finish this off, I want to talk about Hewy Toonmore. Now, if you don't know who Hewy Toonmore is, maybe this will kind of ring a bell. Hewy's animated movie reviews. That's right. And Hewy Toonmore is probably one of the best up-and-coming, if not established, reviewers out there that many may not know of. And that's saying something. Because here's somebody that's actually done, I think, some co-reviews with one person that's actually co-reviewed with the nostalgia critic Doug Walker, and that's Diamanda. Yeah, Toonmore critic co-reviewed, I think, with Diamanda. So anyway, not Diamanda, but Hewy Toonmore. So some of you that don't know who Hewy is, this guy started about 2008, 2009, literally about 2 or 3 years after YouTube was firmly established. Now, originally he started out as Huey Lewis. That's right, Huey Lewis. Now, obviously, some legal action may have come into play. I don't really know the specifics. It's none of my business. But somewhere down between the first few seasons, in other words, like season 2 or 3, he went from Huey Lewis to Hewy Toonmore. And I guess that's to avoid any legal action. Another reason, obviously, he took the Huey Lewis name was, of course, he was probably a fan of the music and a fan of the group, but also the fact that his original intro for the first season or so involved clips from a lot of his reviews, and a lot of his individual and collaborator reviews, but also it also had clips from some of the movies he had reviewed or was going to review, and also was backed by the song "Back in Time" by Huey Lewis in the News. So anyway, like I said, between the first few seasons, like I said, either season 2, 3, or 4, not only did he change his name to Hewy Toonmore, but he worked with Hymy to get a new theme song, as well as he worked with Matt Chorus, I think, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, to get a new animated intro made specifically for his review show. So, like I said, I don't know the specifics of why he went from Huey Lewis to Hewy Toonmore. It's none of my business. but I probably have an idea, and I think everybody else does as well. But speaking of Toonmore, though, this is a guy you really have to check out. Here's a guy that's helped out a lot of other people. In fact, another person he's done reviews with, because he's actually crossed over into other people's shows, is the Media Hunter. Now, Media Hunter, just to talk about him briefly, his name is Isaac, and he bases his character off World of Warcraft. So his reviews, his show takes place, he does his review show sort of in the World of Warcraft environment. Yeah, so it's his World of Warcraft created character, version of himself, his created version character of himself in World of Warcraft doing the reviews. So anyway, he's done reviews with him. He's done reviews with other guys like South Jersey Sam, who I do recommend you check out as well. Paranormal Rob he's done with as well, who's an expert at voodoo apparently, but mostly is an expert at 80s cartoons and movies, and animated movies. So check out Paranormal Rob as well. But getting back to Hewy Toonmore, here's a guy, like I said, that started originally as Huey Lewis, changed it to Toonmore, changed the intro, got an original song to an animated one with an original song by just given made for him by Hewy. And this guy's been going since about, like I said, 2008, 2009, and he has been going non-stop. In fact, his most recent review that he did was the review to begin his opening season. His eighth, I think, what is it now? Is it eighth season? Wow, 8 seasons, right? That's amazing. Can't think of the one he did. Can't think of the name, but he did one recently. He did a recent one. And again, I can't, for the life of me, I can't think of the name or anything, but he did one very recently, and he is very entertaining. Very entertaining. Now, I've actually communicated with him before in the past, and he has basically said, he basically flat out told me, with all due respect, he told me, Brian, I'm not going to do any kind of any kind of dual review with you, or something like that, because basically, if you read, because basically he probably read online what some people have had to say about me in the past, and if he doesn't want to do a review or even take a suggestion, that's fine. That's fine. Looking back on it, I kind of understand where he's coming from, but that's his business, and I'll let him be at that. But maybe someone can kind of get word to him that he should at least hear me out when it comes to some suggestions. With all due